It is often said that knowledge is power, that knowing more about the world will give you a better understanding of it. However, there is some knowledge that is detrimental to know, info hazards and the like, information that upon learning is actually a detriment to you and your well-being. And this becomes even more interesting when you bring up the topic of religion. See, today I wish to discuss of a faction, one of phantom outcasts and heretics that are known as the al-basir. But in order for you to fully understand their story, I need to give you a bit of history. So, in the ancient lands of Neador, many gods are commonly worshipped. However, to the phantoms, only one is truly believed in, Mjor, the sun god. Now, every now and again there are branches of the order that would start to worship other gods. Most of these are squashed as soon as they are revealed. If they're lucky, it's peacefully. Some of these can get to a considerable size before their heresy is snuffed out. However, we have only one recorded case of these treacherous groups actually winning over their temple and seizing control. The details get confusing when you try to go into specifics. It is unknown if the temple was but a minor one or a lost major one on part of the current Big Three. Even its name is highly debated, but many believe that the Albaziri devised their name from it in some way or form. What is known is its rough location, somewhere within the Nara Irim Trench, one of the northernmost ruins lost during the Eventide, although this further implies the temple was only a small one. Now, the name of this god that they had forsaken Mjor for has been lost to history. In fact, it's been scrubbed from history, deliberately so. See, once the other temples learned that this once bastion of their people had turned heretic, they called for a crusade. They invaded, burned it to the ground, and resorted the entire thing to rubble. They put all the members they could find to the sword and slaughtered them. No trace of what they believed was left, and to the public eye there would be nothing, as if this group never existed in the first place. Now, they would never actually go this far with the smaller groups of heretics that never really took any ground. The only reason they would go this far is actually quite clear. See, while the Phantoms allow the beliefs in other gods among other peoples that are not of their order, there is one nameless god, however, they will never allow the worship of in their presence. It is seen as an evil figure, an opposite to their beloved Mjor, a demonic counterpart, so to speak, and many think that this god is what the temple worshipped, which would explain the lengths they went to destroy them. Of course, somehow some of them survived and became one of the many outcasted phantom groups. Or maybe, something I think's much more believable, another group of outcasters took up their legacy, wanting to enrage the temples at large. Regardless, one trace of them remained in some form and fashion, and that most likely would have been where they remained, a forgotten minor faction that would have slowly died out, were it not for a leader to empower them. See, there is a strange group of isolationists known as the Nassians. Many know of their Thornweavers, and one, scorned from joining their number, was seeking revenge. They found their way into the old destroyed temple and awoke a power that was dormant there. They were also seeking answers about a unique affliction that was upon them. Now, this figure later took on the name of Nacht and became the avatar of their god. And through proxy, they became their leader of sorts. The story of Nacht and the experiments he performed really are a tale for another day, and one I am going to tell at some point. Just know that all of the decisions that they took after his arrival are almost certainly due to his iron-fisted rule over them. They were just following his orders, for as far as the Albazirs were concerned, this corrupted Thornweaver was the voice of their god. So, with newfound leadership, and one with a rather unique power at that, they started to grow in number, assimilating other phantom outcasts and recruiting foreign peoples to boost their number. In fact, though almost all of them wore some form of phantom-styled armor, their numbers grew so much that it wasn't really clear where they all came from. In fact, I would hazard a guess that most were not of Neodorian descent. Their ranks, however, expanded more than tenfold, and they became quite the formidable force. This new strength allowed them to start making bigger plays for power. A new philosophy among their ranks was born, one of power and control. They believed that dragons existed to be ruled over and dominated. Their goal was to enslave all dragons, and by extension, people who would not follow them. I would say that this was some turning point in how they really started to treat living things, but in truth this group was always horrible and doing despicable deeds. But now, they were justifying it, which makes for a very dangerous combination. Many experiments were performed on these enslaved dragons, trying to combine their unique qualities. Nacht's prize pairing was trying to give the venom and or poison of a vine drake to the night snaggers, to make an angel of death, as he would put it. There was only really one he was able to fully create with this method. I'm sure if he had enough time, he would have been able to create more, and only he would ever ride this one until his death. But I'm getting a bit ahead of myself now. See, if you are of Skaldian blood, you have probably heard of the Albazir, or if you're unlucky, you encountered them. See, before, when they were at their height during the start of the Skaldian Civil War, they tore through the country and raided almost every Vard bar the southern one. They were nearly unstoppable until members of the Thornweavers outcasted themselves in order to stop them, but again, that is a story for another day. Just know that in this battle, both Nacht and many Albazirs perished, and the group was yet again disbanded, or should I say, dispersed. But this time, they had a purpose, a goal that they sought out with religious fervor, and to this day, they still seek to enslave the world in the name of their dark god, to bring about their age of darkness. They slowly started to regroup, and once they had a strong position again, one of them started to hear a voice within their mind, akin to what Nacht claimed happened to him. They then soon started to follow this person as a new leader, no doubt after a little bit of infighting, and began raiding and conquering again until this new leader too was slain, most likely by the hands of a windguard. So again they were scattered to the winds, only to regroup again under a new leader, who also claimed to have such voices. The main Phantom Temples by now had learned that this group started re-emerging, so to speak, and so decided to hunt them down themselves to fully end the threat. This resulted in them killing a lot of Albazir, yes, but in return, the Albazir just started raiding their once homeland as well in retaliation. In fact, over this time, nothing really became out of their grasp, and the raiding was across the entire continent. In fact, to make matters much worse, it seemed this group was splitting off into multiple places. They had different leaders, all claiming to have the voice of their god, attacking in different locations. To many, the Albazir seemed to be taking on the face of an ever-growing cult to a dark god. While many factions and nations seem to cut this weed, another will grow in its place, perhaps more than one. Ominous foretellings of things to come, and some are even claiming that a physical manifestation of their god has lain waste to the capital of the Jarlantia. Hopefully just rumours, although their silence is worrying. But this cult seems to just be everywhere, just behind the surface, ever ready to crawl out and strike. Though they started out as a group of outcasted phantoms, this cult has grown to all corners of the world and seeks to enslave all creeds, forcing them to be loyal to them. A faction that's sole goal is to corrupt the world and bring in an age of darkness. In reality, there is a lot of fear-mongering about the Albazir, and while they are a substantial threat, they are nowhere close to their height when they served under Nacht. There are many different groups of them showing up, yes, but they're just as likely to fight each other than they are actually to raid a nation. Though their raids are still horrid, and their acts are unforgivable, they are not a world-ending threat that they could have been. Still, they are a horrible faction you should be warned of. Thank you for listening to my tales. I am the Ashspawn. Feel free to leave a like, comment, or subscribe. It would really mean a lot to me. But, till next we meet, fellow traveller, have a good day.